Great morning, great morning, great morning. It is 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And you know, if it's 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning, you know it's time for the It's About You radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Listen, my name is Maurice, a.k.a. Mickey D, and I am ecstatic about being with you this morning. Each and every Tuesday morning, I have the honor and privilege to be before you, pouring into you. This show is about helping you to become the very best you can possibly be, for you to be motivated, guys, to let you see that it is not over. Every single day you get a do-over. You get a chance to make it great and be great because you have greatness within you. And I don't take this platform lightly. I don't take it for granted. You know, I told you in the past, if you've been listening any period of time, you know my background has been, I've been blessed to have 3 amazing careers as a retired law enforcement officer, one of those good serving officers, public servant, been serving people for over 4 decades. And I've been a professional school counselor with 9th graders at a Title I school, and also now as a college professor, sharing information, educating people, so serving people. My mother told me to go to school, get a good education, don't leave any money on the table, and make sure you go treat people right and serve people. And so I've been doing that. And what I've been taking is the my experience over the last 4 decades, and also I did domestic violence counseling. So I've done a lot of things helping people, and that's what this show is about, pouring into people and helping you to take a look at yourself. You know, Michael Jackson's song, The Man in the Mirror. So this is about the man or woman in the mirror. Take a look at yourself and decide, what am I going to do? And also we've been going through some things in life, for sure. We all go through challenges. And so because this is Tuesday morning, I always start off with the morning motivational quote each and every day to get you plugged in. Today's quote is coming from none other than the legendary John C. Maxwell. If you don't know who John C. Maxwell is, I highly recommend you go to YouTube. He's on YouTube all the time, videos, books, author of about 100 books, and he's a former pastor, but he is a great leader. And his quote that I'm using today says this, that you must learn to say no to good so that you can say yes to the best. Let me repeat that. He said, learn to say no to good so that you can learn to say yes to the best. Because oftentimes situations, circumstances come up, they look good, but that's not your best. Don't be so eager to just accept good, because good is not your best. Good is not your best. So therefore, how many times in life have you settled for good? You settle for average. And guess what? There's a book that talks about average as well, and that book talks about, you know, the idea of not accepting average. Because, you know, you have the enemy called average. Why? It's like a tree. You have to go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is. No fruit grows at the base of the tree or grows on the tree itself. It's on a limb. So you have to go out on a limb sometime, take risk. And by taking that risk, you discover your best. And that is the key thing you want to do. I've done an experiment with my students in class. I'll ask them to raise their hand, and they'll raise their hand. And then I said, raise it higher. And then they'll raise it high as they can. And my question is, why didn't you raise it high as you could the first time? Because we've been conditioned to settle for average, or just that's good enough. No, absolutely, positively not. Your best is calling you. Your best is what is demanded of you, given that all to do that. So that is your morning motivational quote this day by John C. Maxwell. This has been brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net. You go there and learn all about your amazing gut microbiomes. Learn all about health, because all disease begins in the gut. Again, MauriceMcDonald.net. Log on there. Take a look at all diseases and how you can stop taking some of those pills perhaps in your life. Hey, listen, I want to continue with the series I've been talking about, and that is elderly parents. You see, if you're listening to me and you have parents and you're an adult, that means your parents are older. So there's a point in life sometime as you get older, you have to take care of your parents. And so I want to continue talking about that theme. And later on in a second session on this show, we're going to have a guest speaker here. We're going to have a speaker, Miss Linda Jordan, someone who's been taking care of her parent for a long period of time. And I'll allow her to introduce herself and share. She'll be joining us very shortly. But I want to recap what we have talked about up until this point here. And again, we're talking about taking care of elderly parents, the reasons, you take care of them. And the first one I shared with you was, and by the way, I shared my story of me taking care of my mother and my father, and that journey was a decade. My mother passed away from complications from Alzheimer's, and my father passed away from lymphoma and in the liver, which is a form of cancer in the liver, and he passed away. He wrote his own obituary out, and I found it, and he was still alive. And so that was a whole trauma there. What to do with that part? So a decade of taking care of parents, which is why I can talk about this, and I know I'm not alone. There are many people who are going through this right now as I speak, and there are people who have never been through this, and you're hoping you never go through this, and I don't want you to go through this, but unfortunately we cannot decide things that happen in our lives. We have no control over them, and we have to play the hand we're dealt. And sometimes, listen, sometimes you got 4 aces and sometimes you got 4 deuces, okay? And it doesn't work. You don't know what you got. But you got to learn to play that hand. So with that said, I was talking about some reasons. Number one, as a recap from last week, I said that we have to respect their sacrifices. You see, our parents made some sacrifices for us to ensure our well-being and our success. So caring for them is a way of honoring their efforts. I want you to think about your parents who may be during a period of time who had to go through some powerful struggles in their life. Some single mamas, single daddies, and whatever, not having money, racism, sexism, all the isms, and the government being against them or whatever. They were struggling. They did the best they could. They sacrificed for you. I've heard stories of people who said, you know what, I didn't have a lot of clothes, but I went to school every day. My clothes were clean, and my mother and father did the best they could. So we have to respect their sacrifices. And for those of you who are listening to me now, who may say, well, my mom was not in my life. My dad was not in my life. And my grandmother raised me. My aunt raised me. Well, this goes true there. Somebody made a sacrifice. You may have grown up in foster care. You may have grown up, you were adopted. Whatever the circumstances, somebody sacrificed for you to make it through. And so when Father Time and Mother Nature, by the way, are undefeated. So when those roles reverse, you get to respect their sacrifice, because now you got to sacrifice. You're caring for them. You're honoring their efforts of helping you. I also talked about the second one was expressing gratitude. We have to express gratitude by showing appreciation for the love and support throughout your life that fosters a deeper bond. You see, there are times that your elderly parent, you're taking care of them, they're still in that right mind or whatever, but you get a chance to express some gratitude to them and they to you. And sometimes through that part, those times you're spending with them, reading with them or singing to them or helping them in arts and crafts or whatever you're doing with them, you get a chance to express that gratitude, and people become closer, should I say. You foster a deeper bond, because there are oftentimes you're sitting there listening to them and they'll say certain things. I thank you for taking care of me. You're doing what, and whatever, or maybe there have been some disagreements. You all may have butted heads, all your life struggled. You may have struggled, and now here's a chance for you to get this closer bond together. The third one I said was maintaining family values. You see, caring for elderly parents demonstrates a reinforcement to family unity and the responsibility for the next generation. As I said last week, my children got an opportunity to watch me take care of my parents. Me going back and forth to New York City, flying there, driving there, time and frustration, and bringing my mother to live in an assisted living facility near me. I was still working, but my children were watching. So what does that mean? The next generation is watching what you do. And that is important for them to see. So even though you may think, well, this is hard, and why this is useless, I can't do this anymore. Guess what? Culturally, sometimes that is very important. And many cultures, I mentioned last week, many cultures will not put their family in assisted living. Now, that's culturally for them. And I know I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm not trying to criticize at all. But what I'm saying is, if you are in a situation where you have to work, such as I am, you then have to go and check on those parents, making sure they're treated right. So that's part of maintaining that family value. And then also, I mentioned number 4, I think I talked about, was promoting their quality of life, assisting with their physical and emotional needs to help ensure they enjoy their later years comfortably and happily. Listen, one thing there's a song that talks about living your best life. One thing about it, when you get older, those of you who are still young, you don't understand what I'm talking about. As you get older in your life, past 50, that you start to realize about your days. You want every day should count. But you see, in the early years of your life, you're learning, and you're about 21, 22. You're in that part of learning in your life, and then you start getting in your 30s. Now you're getting to that part where you're earning, right? You're earning now. It's earning more money in your careers and those kind of things that you're doing. Then you start to go and where you are now getting into your 50s and older. Now you start realizing, now looking back at your life, you can say, wow, now I got to go here and start to teach. Because you want to share with your children. You want to share because you got some history now. Now you want to make those days count for sure, to make sure people don't fall, learn from your mistakes or some things that you did well, but some things that maybe you wish you had done better. So the different stages of our life, that's what we go through. But now we're talking about promoting the quality of life of your parents or your uncle or your aunt, or whoever raised you, that family member. Aging, that whole part, assisting them physically, emotionally needs to ensure they enjoy their later years comfortably and happy, being comfortable and a good quality of life. That is so huge of some things that we talked about last week. And also we talked about that, biblically, it's important to understand about honoring your mother and your father. That piece is so vitally important as well. Well, today I want to pick up kind of where we some new points here to talk about, and we're talking about now providing emotional support, because aging can be lonely, and being there for them gives them emotional security and comfort. Emotional security and comfort by providing that emotional support. Now, we just talked about the promoting the quality of life. Now, this emotional support, because let me tell you something. As you get older, there are things you realize you can't do that you used to do. And sometimes men and women struggle with that, especially men. Men, we have this thing this feeling of we can always do what we used to do. I can do, but the idea of losing your physical ability, losing the idea that you're not sharp as you used to be, that you realize some things happening, and that emotional support is real. And now you're getting older, and now their friends and people they've known for years are dying. And that can do that. You're going to funerals of people you've known for 30, 40, 50 years. You've been friends with them, they're neighbors and church members, and all of them are dying around you. As they get older, that can become a real lonely place. Losing a spouse. Oh my goodness, you've been married 50 years to this woman or to this man. 40 years you've been married, and they pass away, they transition, and they feel lonely, and the friends of theirs are doing the same thing. There's an emotional, sometimes barrier, stressful barrier. And sometimes as they get older, going to counseling, they've never been to counseling, which, by the way, let me go ahead and plug this. I always talk about that. Get the checkup from the neck up. The checkup from the neck up is very important. But as they get older, they need to be active. They need to be engaged some other way. But that emotional support can be provided by you because you're taking care of them. I know for my mother, when I had to move her to North Carolina against her will, she had the Alzheimer's, so that way she knew who I was at times. Sometimes she didn't, and me bringing her against her will because I had to take care of her and being an only child. Which, by the way, if you are an only child, taking care of your parent or whomever you have custody over, it can be a difficult thing. Even if you have siblings, 8, 9, 10 of you, you still may be the only one as the caretaker. But I found that by bringing her here, and she didn't know anyone, getting her engaged and bingo on the things she liked to do. I talked to her. I took her to things. I know she loved flowers, crepe myrtle trees. She loved them. And I always would take her places where she could see them, taking her to the mall, getting engaged with other people where she could sit. She was in a wheelchair, and, taking her to be engaged with people to keep her mind sharp, playing cards with her, watching television, listening to old music, the albums that she used to listen to, and I'd ask her questions. Mama, who's singing this song? And she would tell me. And of course, with the thing with Alzheimer's, that short-term memory is first to go. The long-term memory stays forever, it seems. And she would tell me, "Oh, that song was sung in what year was that? Oh, that was a 19." She would tell me these things and repeat herself over and over again. But that emotional support and that comfort, making sure that she would look good, taking her to get her hair done, to get her nails done. I would sit there with her, and she got a manicure, pedicure too. I got one too. Oh yes. And by the way, let me plug this right now, guys. If you listen to me, men in particular, if you've never had a manicure or pedicure, you don't know what you're missing. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that again. Men, you don't know what you're missing. Ladies, can I get an amen? You know what I'm talking about. Take care of that. But I found myself sitting there with her, conversation with her, that emotional support. And that is so key, because that feeling of loneliness and depression, it can be difficult. Now, with that said, if you are a caretaker, you must, I'm going to say it again, you must go to counseling. It is not should go, you must go, because it's going to be wear and tear on you as well. And sometimes they will come back and tell you, I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, you don't tell me what to do. Yeah. Again, they don't want to give up their quality of life. They don't want to give up their way of life. They want to be in charge. And so therefore now the roles are reversed, and they're having a difficult time with it. So you got to learn to be patient and not snap at them, not to be combative with them. That is so important. You want to do that part about providing that emotional support. That is so important. And also, I'm going to have my guest speaker be joining us shortly, and she's been able to, as I said, for 9 years, take care of her parents. And she's got a story of telling what she did and how she went about doing this. And I found myself having to go to a support group because it was a support group for adult children who were taking care of their parents with Alzheimer's. And it was so helpful. In a room full of about 11 people, we have something in common, and we were able to discuss it. And the leader of the group, both of her parents with Alzheimer's, she had 19 years of taking care of a mother and a father who both had Alzheimer's. And she was about maybe 4'11". But being in that group, because I used to talk about, oh, my mom is cursing at me. She's doing this and she's doing that at me. And I'm just, I'm so angry. I'm so frustrated. And she said, take a picture and record your mother. She's yelling at you. She's angry with you, whatever, but she knows your name. There's going to come a time when she won't know who you are and you're going to wish she cursed you. That was a drop the microphone moment for me. So that's for those individuals who may be going with somebody who's in that stage of Alzheimer's and those types of things. But listen, also, when we talk about this, the next point I want to talk about is fulfilling the moral and ethical obligations. Fulfilling the moral and ethical obligations. Many cultures and beliefs emphasize that the duty to care for aging is a family member. This is the point. It is your responsibility to do that. There's so many people that get dropped off in assisted living and nursing homes and nobody ever visits them. You drop them off like you dropping a pet off at the dog pound. There are people who abandon their dogs, okay? You cannot abandon your parents. I'm going to say that. Now, people who do it, you may say, how can I tell them what they should not do? You don't know what they did to me in the past. Oh, yeah, I get that. I get it. Like I said, but at some point in time, if you plan to get older, remember, you too will get old. Just keep breathing, and you realize this. So the idea of morally and ethically it being there to support and emphasize the duty to care for them and their family members. It is the duty. And you may not have been there now. You may be 35 years old listening to this, and you may say, well, my parents are fine. And great. And I hope you never go through this. But like I said, just know that when it does happen, your life changes. Your life changes. And like I said before, we got to respect their sacrifice. And now your turn morally to take care of them. Fulfill the moral and ethical. Because see, when you drop them off like that, listen, if you have children yourself, you're setting, like I said before, you're letting your children see how you're treating their grandparents. Yes, it may have to tag team. Spouses may have to take turns helping. And above all those kinds of things, let me plug this right now. Self-care. Self-care is important. You must take care of yourself as well. You need the breaks. You need somebody to step in, if only for 5 hours or a weekend, a day, that you go get your nails done, that you go do something that's going to give you your battery, the opportunity, to recharge. That is so important for you. So the points I wanted to talk about today for sure was fulfilling the moral and ethical support and the obligation of it. Also providing the emotional support. That is so important for us to do, because as I said before, if you continue to breathe, you will get older. And this piece right here is so important, because I've been at the facility where my mother was. I saw people who never came to see their family members, and I found out there were family members that did not come. I had to always make sure I take my mother and I take that person out in the courtyard they had, and they would sit out there, and my mother would be there with them. If they were able to talk, I'd talk with them too, and share some things with them, and find out what they like to do, because nobody wants to be abandoned like a dog or cat dropped off to be adopted, hopefully, or eventually, they're going to die and nobody cares about them, treating them like they're nobody. And that's not good at all. So it's important to know that we have to have that providing that emotional support and promoting their quality of life and fulfilling the moral and ethical obligations to taking care of people. And that is so important. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. And when we come back, we're going to have our guest speaker here in the studio with us. So we'll be right back right after this message. Did you know all disease begins in the gut? That's right. Your gut is the gateway to your better health. But modern diets and stress can lead you to be out of balance. Introducing Love Biome, your all-natural solution for a healthier you. Love Biome is scientifically formulated to nourish, restore your gut microbiome with prebiotics, postbiotics, and probiotics, all made naturally clean ingredients, no filters, no chemicals, just pure wellness. Boost your immune system, strengthen your life daily with Love Biome. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about your gut microbiome. That's MauriceMcDonald.net and learn about the all natural ingredients from all over the world to help you have a better gut microbiome. Hey guys, we're back. We're back on the It's About You radio show here on WDRB The Media. Listen, I told you that I had a guest that will be joining us coming to the studio today. And let me give you a little bit of background about this guest and why she's here. First and foremost, she has had nearly 15 years or so of experience working with a parent, elderly parent, a sick parent. And the idea of it, I say that because she gave up her life after retirement. I'll let her tell her story a little bit because, when you think when you retire, there's going to be this life you're going to go do, you're going to do those types of things. But a decade goes by, and this is someone I know, trust, and highly respect. As a matter of fact, my very first cousin, I know, Miss Linda. I'll let her introduce herself and everything else in a moment. But I felt like it's very important to hear people who've been through the struggle and what it's been like. And as I said before, the show is not always dedicated to people whose parents are sick or ill. But in many cases it is. You have to be in a situation. And so with that said, Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, listen.
Glad to be here with you.
Glad to be here. I'm glad to have you here because as I said before, you have the experience. You and I both have some experience, but you more than me. If you would tell my listeners a little bit about your story. I mentioned a little bit about retiring. When did you retire?
I retired in 2013, and in January of 2013, and then I started taking care of my mother June of 2013, and I took care of her for 9 years before she passed away. She was in the bed for 9 years.
Yes, so shortly after your retirement, hey, you got hit with something you didn't see coming. Had no idea,
No, I had no idea.
What were some of the plans you had when you retired? You thought you were going to do?
My intention was to just retire and get me a part-time job, but I ended up with a full-time job.
Yes, full-time job, and you retired from the state of North Carolina. And so the idea that you had that full-time job of taking care of your mother who had been ill, did the thought ever cross your mind perhaps putting her in a nursing care place or to be able to, so you can have your life? Did that ever cross your mind?
Not one time. I told her as long as God gave me the strength, I would take care of her, and she would never go to a nursing home.
And that's exactly what you did. So what do you think, what type of mindset, because what you just said is very powerful. What type of mindset did you have to have when you realized you were there taking care of your mother who was not able to take care of herself? First of all, she was good in her mind. Her mind was fine. But what mindset did you have to take that approach?
You had to ask God for patience, to give you patience to be able to take care of someone that's in the bed for 9 years. We as my mother and myself, we had our ups and downs, but she knew I was there for her because she was there for me when I couldn't take care of myself.
Oh, so okay, I see. So the mindset was that you had to realize that the role, and like going back to one of the things I had said earlier in my previous show, I talked about the fact that respecting their sacrifice. They sacrificed and had the energy and everything to take care of us.
Right.
So what I'm hearing
So
you say,
it reversed. Then I had to take care of her.
right? So that was your mindset. That number one, you were gonna respect her sacrifice, respect your mother, because I heard you talked about you had asked God for that strength, for that. So it sounds to me like that you had said that, listen, no matter what happens, I'm going to take care of my mama.
Exactly.
And
As
you,
long as I could, I told her that.
mm-hmm.
And there's one thing she did. I don't care what I did for her. She thanked me for doing it.
Yes, yes. So
She said because I didn't have to do that, I could have put her in a home.
right, that would have been, she would have been devastated because she would not have wanted to go. And you said you and mom had some ups and downs. So talk about some of the ups and downs.
Because she still wanted to do what the things that she wanted to do her way. And I had to let her know, okay, you're not in charge anymore. I am.
Yeah, and that didn't go over well.
No, it didn't. I
That,
did because she told me, I'm still your mama.
I'm still your mama. And listen, and I'm sure that some of my listeners are going through some of these things right now. They can identify with them because the idea when you said the roles reversing, because when we were younger, we were children.
Right.
They call all the shots. They were in
Exactly.
charge, and they let you know in charge. And now, when the roles reverse, oftentimes it's not received well because her independence is gone. She can't go do the things she wants to do, and she's got to listen to you. And she sees you just my child.
Right.
You do what I say, and that can be really really difficult.
She told me that a lot of times that I'm still the mama.
Uh, I'm still the mama, and she wanted you to know that for sure. But you also not only were you taking care of your mother, you've also had to take care of your child as well for
Exactly.
so many years.
Exactly.
Having a child with a disability.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, nothing wrong with his mind either. But the
No.
idea of it is, so you've been a caretaker all of
All
your
my life.
all your life. You've been a
Mm-hmm.
caretaker, and that
Yep.
part is not easy. What are some things that you said? I think you said before you have to learn have to have some patience.
Yes.
Patience. Can you talk further about that to my listeners? Let them know what that patience might look like.
The patience is sometimes you don't feel like doing the things that you need to do. But you just got to ask God to help you with it and help you in the meantime, give you patience because, like I say, sometime my mother was always letting me know she was the mother. And I had to tell her, okay, you might be the mother, but I still your caregiver.
Yes, yes. So, and what I'm hearing you saying is you're asking the Creator, asking God for patience. Guess what that looks like? Difficulties.
Right.
You can't develop patience in a smooth way. Patience doesn't come easy.
Mm-hmm.
Patience
That's
comes with a
true.
price.
That's true.
I mean,
That
patience
is so
come.
true.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that goes back to she used to tell me, you good at this. You should have worked in the hospital. I told her no. I said only reason I'm doing this is because you are my mother. and you took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. So now I just have to help take care of you.
Yes, and so you're talking about what, at least what, 10 years you took care of your mother?
I took care of her nine years.
9 years.
No bed sores.
No bed. Come on, no bed sores. Yeah, see, people got to understand. A lot of times when people go to the assisted living facilities and the nursing homes, that is a big issue
Exactly.
because of the bed sores, which cause infection, which causes all kind of medical challenges that comes with there. She had none of them, and so that taking care of mother wasn't just an 8-hour job.
No, it was like 24/7.
Yes, yes. And so you were in the trenches, and you said you asked for patience, and I want my listeners to know that you cannot develop patience smoothly. It's not a straight line to patience. It's sometimes you got to bite your tongue.
Amen.
Oh, yeah, you got to bite your tongue. You want to say something. You want to maybe say some words that are not so kind because you're getting frustrated because you've done everything you could possibly do and it ain't right because that's the way they want it.
That's right.
And telling you.
Exactly. You really get frustrated sometimes, but you got to remember, I had to remember she still was my mom. And then a lot of times what I would do, I would come back home and vent to my son.
Yeah. yeah. Because he has to hear it because, and you living right next door to your parents, which was a blessing. But I tell you, looking back at it now, that journey, that 9-year journey that you have gone through to take care of your mother and even longer with your son as well, you've been that caretaker. What has been, I guess, your biggest rewards, what I'd say, to what you have done?
My biggest reward is to know that God has gave me the strength to do it. And he looked after me to be able to do it. And then it was just that I gave her the peace that she didn't have to go to the nursing home. She was at peace because she knew that I was going not, if as long as I could, that she was not being a nursing home.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that reward even still is not about you. I see you still put it there that you were glad to be in a position to take care of mom. That's a huge reward.
It got hard sometimes, but I just was going to do it, and because I had promised her I would do it.
Promised her you were going to do it. You're going to be there. So also one thing I'm hearing is that, and I think everybody, for my listeners to understand, that when you're taking care of individuals, the word patience is important, but there's another word. That's the main one. The main one, but also sacrifice.
Yes, because you sacrifice a lot.
Yes. Talk about that sacrifice. What are some things you think you sacrificed?
Like people want to go on trips and stuff like that, doing different outings. But I always had to tell them I couldn't go because I had to take care of my mom.
Caretaking. So taking the trips. Because most people hear the word, I'm going to retire, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do some things I want to do. You said get a part-time job, but you got a full-time job, 24. As a matter of fact, your full-time was really full-time. And being able to sacrifice for your mother and also being there 24/7. Oftentimes, so what do you think you would?
A lot of people used to say, "But you got to do something for yourself, something for yourself." But nobody wants to come help out unless what you gonna do. Right. It was just my sister and myself. Now my sister did a lot of sacrificing also because she's still working, but she came down on weekends every week. She didn't miss a weekend coming to help out.
Right. So you were very blessed to have a sibling who helped out.
Exactly.
Because oftentimes what I find out in the idea of taking care of parents is that there can be 5, 6, 10 siblings, but one person doing all the work.
That's right. And mother made that statement one time. She said, I wish I had more children to be able to, and then you would have had some help. And I told her, just because you had the children don't mean they would help.
Amen to that, because I know for a fact when I went through the struggle, because I was the only child, as you well know, and the thing of it is that with me taking care of my mother, flying back and forth to New York City, driving to New York City, all this time back and forth to check on her and my father and all those types of things, I used to always say to myself, man, if I had somebody to help me. But then I heard stories of so many people who had siblings and they had no help at all. But when their parent or was about to transition, their hand out, they want to know, what did mama leave me? What did daddy leave me? You know, why you the executor? It was always conflict. So my listeners, I want you to know, because you have siblings, don't assume they're all going to come in and help you and do the right thing, because oftentimes some people do it for different reasons. Some people are so stressed out, they can't stand the idea of seeing their parents transitioning, or their parents not as healthy as they used to, and emotionally they're not prepared for it. You know, some people, so this is not to beat up on, if you're one of those individuals who hasn't helped out, I understand there may be some other reasons why you have not, but there's a way of helping financially, a way of helping emotionally, a way of coming down to give somebody some relief. As you said, your sister would come on weekends because she had to work during the week and her own family, so that's understandable.
Right.
And so she sacrificed as well.
Sacrificed too.
She made some sacrifices. And also, it is very important also in these situations, it's a situation you didn't have to deal with as much, but sometimes when you have to care for your parent or your loved one, the spouse is not supportive because you aren't there. You're never there. You know, well, you got to always take care of your mama, your dad. You running down there, you ain't doing this, you doing that. So, and that plays a role. You didn't never have that issue, but there are many people who do have that issue. They don't get that support from the spouse to take care of their loved one. It could be the parent. It could be the sister that have to take care of. Whoever the individual is, but we've been focusing on the parent. So we talked about patience. We talked about sacrifice. When you look back at the big picture of everything, because now you're in a situation now of taking care of your father. And I believe your father is about 98 years old.
Right.
98 years old, in his right mind. Just recently, I think, had a stroke, but doing well. But the idea that now you've had to take care of two parents through all of this journey. So you've had now lots of experience, which is why I wanted you to share some things with you. So individuals who are about to go through this, you talked about patience, sacrifice. Is there anything else you want them to know that they need to focus on?
Everybody say that you got to take care of yourself too, but you do have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of them. But I guess my main concern right now is my father. So, and you know, like I say, and my son is very patient with me. He's here with me, and it's just where we are, him and I, just here together. And he sacrificed a lot too, because right now I'm gone about most of the day.
Right. So there's a sacrifice. So what I'm hearing you say is even family members of the caretaker is sacrifice.
Sacrificing.
That is because I know your sister who's married. So on weekends,
her husband is sacrificing.
Right. So the husband is sacrificing. So you see, when you get into this area of taking care of parents and family, it is truly a family team effort.
Exactly.
And patience and also the idea of being understanding that my wife is taking care or my husband is taking care of their siblings. I might have to cook some things. I may have to clean the house. I may have to do some things because I love her. I love him. Therefore, I have to be supportive of them. And so And also, I've heard you talked about that patience and the sacrifice, the understanding of it. I want to talk a little bit about the preparation of it, because a lot of times when people get sick, they don't have legal documents in place. They don't have a trust or will or those types of things in place, or a power of attorney. All those things are very important to have those things before somebody gets in that situation, because it can be very difficult.
Yes, my mother and father had that in place before they got sick.
Yes.
Gwen and I both have a copy, being a power of attorney, being sick.
Right.
When they got sick,
Mm-hmm.
and they had that in place because Dad had worked at one of the lawyers' office here in Lewisburg,
Mm-hmm.
and so he took and got that in place. A couple of years before even Mother got into bed or anything,
Right.
that we would have power of attorney on that.
Yes.
And then by me being the closest to them, Daddy ended up giving me more power of attorney for like the house and different stuff.
Right.
By me being right here and when they're working.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And see, that's another thing too. When oftentimes people don't want to talk about these kind of issues for fear that, oh, you want me to die, or fear that, oh, you think I'm dying. And no, it is about having things in order. Having a will. Because I know when my father passed away at the time, it was very traumatic for me when he wrote his own will. He wrote his own obituary.
His own obituary.
Yeah,
right.
When he wrote his own obituary and he was still alive, and I found it, that day was like, oh my goodness, and I was just devastated. And knowing he was dying, he knew he was dying, and I didn't know. But I look back at it, when it came time, I didn't have to do the obituary. It was already done for me. He did me a favor, but I didn't know it.
At the time, you didn't think so.
Right. At the time, you're exactly right. I did not think so. And so sometimes...
That's something that people don't really want to talk about, but you have to talk about it, because otherwise you don't know what their will wants to be when it's the last breath.
Exactly. Because this is kind of thing when people don't prepare for it. And I mentioned last week in my show about people having having a trust to avoid all the taxes. If you have a will, if there's property involved, the person who is going to get the house or the car has got to pay taxes. And that could be thousands and thousands of dollars. Where they have a trust, they don't pay a dime in taxes. And I ask seek legal advice. So I would highly recommend, before somebody gets to a point where they cannot speak for themselves, that you have documentation in place to eliminate those kinds of issues. Because oftentimes when you're grieving or upset about things, you don't think clearly. You never thought about, now I got to pay $8,000 or I got to pay $10,000 in taxes to get something that's supposed to be mine. And that's something people are not educated on. So that's why I say definitely speak to someone legally and talk about getting a trust. And talk with that, to make sure when you put everything in a trust, because this is what wealthy people do. Wealthy people don't use wills.
Oh, okay.
They put all the property in trust, and then that person's name is on the trust.
Okay.
So that way, if somebody passes away, those type of things happen. Unfortunately, now you avoid the taxes.
Okay.
Because that's a key thing. But see, wills are for people who don't know any better.
Okay.
Oh, just get a will, and if you got a $80,000 or $300,000 house, and you got to pay $9,000 in taxes, before you can get it. Oh my God! If you don't have $8,000, then you got to go borrow money. You got to go do something. Whereas if you put that thing in a trust, it's a whole new ball game. But like I said, I'm not an attorney, but that part I do know. So I want my listeners to go and speak to an attorney about those kinds of things and talk and learn about a trust. How to set up things in trust. If the car or a property or whatever is set up in a trust, That way, if something happens, you don't have to pay all those taxes. And that part is very, very important to
Yes,
deal with. But
that's
yeah,
good to know right there.
yes, that's very good because a lot of times nobody thinks about those kind of things. Well, it's
Mm-hmm.
will to me. I got this. And also, you said power of attorney. Again, make sure there's a power of attorney.
You have to have that power of attorney to be able to do their legal sick when it comes to sick.
That's right. You got to have that power of attorney to be able to, or if they
Make
have a,
decisions.
that's right. If they have a, all their, if they want to be have a, do not resuscitate. You want to have that living, health part as well, and you must honor what they say, what they want. But
Mm-hmm.
listen, I knew you would be the person to speak to because you've been involved with this now, now taking care of your father. But like I said before, you've been very blessed to have parents who were 83 years of age. No, your mother was what, 90?
93 when she passed
93
away.
years of life and a father at
Yes,
98. There are many listeners who can't say that. Their parents have
that's true.
transitioned many years ago, or they still have those. I often said those individuals who have parents, they should be able to make sure talk to their parents.
That's true.
If you still have parents, talk to them. Indeed,
Amen.
indeed. That part is so important to not take them for granted because let's face it, we all have to transition. We all have to die. And the key thing is when we are taking care of parents, we don't think about that when you're 30 years old. You don't
Right.
think you 35, you 25. You don't think about that your parents are going to get old and those roles are going to be reversed. Well, listen, thank you so much.
That's
Yes.
one thing that excuse me, Daddy had told everybody. That's one even before he went to the for therapy. He told everybody that Wendy and I took real good care of him. He didn't
Yes.
tell anybody.
Oh yeah, you've been taking good care of him, no doubt, no doubt. Well, thank you, Linda, for joining us today. You've been a fantastic guest. Hold on a second, guys. Listen, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Did you know your gut health impacts everything from digestion to mood? Introducing Love Biome, a premium all-natural supplement with 96 organic fruits and vegetables from all around the world designed to support a thriving gut environment. With carefully targeted strains of good bacteria, probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics, Love Biome helps you to maintain optimal digestive health, boost immunity, and feel your best every day. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net. Don't let an unbalanced gut hold you back. Feel the difference with Love Biome, your key to a healthier, happier you. Available now at MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauriceMcDonald.net. Unlock the secrets to a healthier you with a balanced gut microbiome. Guys, we're back. We're back here talking about taking care of senior citizens here on the It's About You radio show at WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I was powerful listening to our guests share her life, share her story, and time is going by so very fast. And I told you this was going to be a series. This ongoing. There'll be about 4 parts. This is part 2. So we got 2 more parts to talk about this series from different perspectives and having other guests coming onto the show here. But I want to finish up today just to a little further go on talking about this topic. We have to also ensure their safety. Elderly parents may face risk at home. They may not be in a assisted living facility. They may be at home. They got the risk of falling and other health issues. You got to care. You got to go there and prevent or mitigate these dangers. For example, with them trying to climb up on ladders or climb up on chairs to reach stuff at the top, falling, breaking their hips, getting concussions and all those types of things, at home. Listen, get things off those top shelves. You got to realize things that mama, don't put those up there. You go over there. It's kind of like you do with the children. You have to, when you have a new baby, a baby that's crawling and walking, you got to child proof the home. Well, the same thing happens when the seniors, when they get older, trying to climb. Because remember, they want to do things like they've always done. Those types of things. Making sure you have to go to the house and make sure, and to ensure that safety from the falls and all those things that you want to prevent as much as possible. And maybe having somebody else go by there to check as well. Tag teaming to help them, because they want to continue to do it, like I said, like they've always done. And that's fine. But this is part of what we have to do to make sure that they stay safe. Because, see, they don't think anything is wrong. And, as parents get older, falling is one of the things that's so difficult. There's a large percentage of people who are injured going through physical therapy and all types of things because they fell and broke a hip. They tripped over something. They were able there. So it is important that you do those kinds of things to prevent it as much as possible. I mean, you can't guarantee anything else, but this is where you go and you try to help them as much as possible, spending time with them. And if you have grandchildren, you have children, which is the grandchild of the senior, guess what? Get them involved as well. Because I know my mother, my son and my daughter, it was amazing. She loved them. But especially my son, that was her baby. Okay. So if he said something, it was okay. So a lot of time I would have to have him, if he's present, I know then she's going to cooperate. But what I say, because he is there. And that's so important to share that information. So ensuring that safety is important. Also preventing that social isolation. I talked about a little bit about that before, but I'm going to go a little deeper in that. Engaging with them regularly, keep them socially connected is vital to their mental health. As I said, playing cards with them, playing chess with them, whatever game they like, reading, playing the piano. What if they're able? That's what they do. If they knit, what they like. So it's important that you also be there to help them, to stay, vitally connected to their mental health, to avoid that isolation with them. Because as I said before, with me doing this with other people, I think for me it was always been one of caretaking, because my 3 careers has always been helping people. So I think by nature that was part of my DNA. I think just to serve. I don't want to see anybody that's not well or someone that's lonely. Those types of things, because then let's face it, mental health is real, guys. It is real. As they get older, that loneliness sets in. And so not putting your life doesn't mean that you have to put your life totally on hold. Sometimes you may be forced to. And other times you may have to get help and share that information, share that struggle sometimes. And then, of course, as I said before, you make sure that you do the self-care by going for your mental health evaluation. Please go to counseling. I know culturally, some cultures were told, don't go to counseling. You don't need no counseling. He put his pants on one leg at a time like I do. All kinds of stuff. There's great resistance to seeking counseling. But I want to dispel that myth today. Listen, you will go to a doctor and you will get a checkup from the neck down. Yes, you got that pain in your side. You got that hacking cough. You've got this. You think nothing about going. You cut your finger and you see that deep red blood. You know that's deeper than a Band-Aid. You need more than a Band-Aid. You will jump in your car. You wrap that finger up, hold it up, and you'll go to the emergency room, get those stitches. But you will not go get the checkup from the neck up. I promise you. Listen, what you don't work on will work on you. Or it's not what you eat, it's what's eating you. So all the stress, the trauma, the whatever you're dealing with in your life, you can't handle it all. You are not equipped to handle it all. Go out and get some help. Continue to get help if you need to get that help, because I can tell you from experience, there are days you cry, there are days you laugh. and they're all good. They're all well. That's okay. Except it is what it is. You're going to be okay, but you need a place to compartmentalize this. You need some places that you can go and not be judged and be able to take care of that. Hey, listen, we're going to be back next week, guys. We're going to be back to share some more of this amazing information to pick up this story right where we left off. We'll see you next week on the It's About You radio show. Did you know that all disease begins in the gut? Until you get your gut microbiome in order, nothing will work. You've got to learn to love your gut. Go learn about Love Biome, the all-natural products from all the world designed to take care of your gut. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. That's MauricemcDonald.net and get your gut in order.